So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight I'm joined by Jordan von Grae. He's a singer in the band Carmeria, which is a band from Australia that plays symphonic metal with goth rock. And we're here to talk about the second album that's coming out in August, if I'm not mistaken. So, first of all, Jordan, how are you tonight? Because I know it's really late in Australia.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. It is currently 11 o'clock at night here, which kind of works with me because I'm a little bit of a night owl. So, yeah, no, it works well. So it's great to be here. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. So you're located in Sydney, Australia, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys are about to release your second album, and on this album, you are also the producer of this record.
Yes. Yeah, I am. So first time producing. So quite a daunting task to take on. But I've sort of been upskilling in that area for the last couple of years, and I was really willing to take on the challenge. So yeah, debut producer here.
Yeah. So how did it feel like to do taking on that DIY mentality and doing things yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. We really enjoy it. We've always sort of been a DIY band, or always tried to be. We've all sort of got our own home studios, and we collaborate a lot online. We all sort of live in different areas around New South Wales, so that really helps. And we've always really had that mentality that you're able to be a lot more transparent with your art when you're doing a majority of it yourself, and that's sort of been a kind of an attitude that we've tried to adopt really for probably about the last 5 years.
Yeah, no, awesome. And I did listen to your previous album as well. And I know you had some, before the previous album, you had some EPs. So the last album is called At Bene, which came out in 2021. Yep. And how much would you say, I listened to that, it's more symphonic. I think on this one, you brought more of that goth element to this new album. When you were working on the follow-up, how did you want to evolve the sound of Carmeria?
Yeah, so the first album was written over about a 6-year period. So there were a lot of things, a lot of changes within the band that happened over that time. And I think one of the big things was that we really developed our own skills as songwriters. And so coming from an album that took 6 years to write and put together, we really wanted to explore, I guess, a different avenue this time around, because that piece of work had been, such a long time in the making. And I think, we'd spent so long in that genre and experimenting with different things within that genre that we were really looking to, I guess, expand our horizons and lean into something a little different. I think as artists, we never want to become stagnant. And I think always looking to reinvent ourselves and try new things really helps to push that creativity and help, I guess, bring forth a little more artistic gratification in terms of always kind of trying new things and experimenting. So it was a lot of fun going down a new path for this record. And I think in terms of a new direction, there's still quite a lot of the old sound in it, but we really wanted to, I guess, bring more of a higher energy with this record. I think the first album was quite dreary, and there were a couple of high intensity songs on it. But this album, I think we wanted to try and bring forth a bit more energy.
Yeah, and on this new album, there's a few tracks with a female vocalist as well, more like ballads, if you will. But you're talking about an album that took 6 years. Be honest, Jordan. I'm guessing after 6 years, were you sick and tired of listening to those songs? You're like, oh my God, I've been listening to this for 6 years.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're sort of always proud of the work that we put out, but spending 6 years with one album is a long time. And I think that, wanting to get this album out, I think, this new album took us about 3 years. So half the time.
Next one will take you 1 year.
Yeah, yeah. 1.5 years for the next album. So I think, well, and that's I guess another part of our process is that through this second album, we've really learnt to streamline our process, and hopefully that means we'll be able to get more music out quicker. But yeah, spending all that time with the first album, I think I wouldn't say we're sick of it, but we're definitely ready to move on.
Yeah, why did it take why 6 years? Because that's a long time.
Yeah, so well, the first album, we were quite young when so I joined the band in about 2014, and prior to that, it had a completely different lineup, different direction. It was more of a prog rock, a female-fronted prog rock outfit, and then that version of the band disbanded in like I think 2013, and then really the only member who's continued on from that era has been Jerry, the guitarist. So I came on board in 2014, and then in Australia, symphonic and Gothic metal isn't exactly, a popular genre of music. And so finding musicians that fit our criteria that were looking to go into this genre was quite difficult. And we had a fair amount of lineup changes. There was a lot of, I think, learning that we had to do ourselves just in terms of, learning how to write within the genre. We've always been big fans of it. And learning, how to express within the scope of that genre was something that took a little while, I guess, to develop, and we really wanted to put out something that we were really proud of. And so Jerry and I tend to be quite sort of perfectionists, and so I think it was just about waiting for the right time, the right lineup, and having the right material to put forward for the first album. So yeah, it was kind of one of these things where we'd get together, we'd collaborate, we'd work on something, and then there'd be a break and we would do stuff in other musical projects and then come back to Carmeria and work on it a little more. And so it just took a lot longer than I suppose we would have hoped. But I think the end product was something that we were really proud of, and we were really grateful that we ended up having the right people at the time to put it out.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And when I first got the promo for this and I listened to it, if it didn't say Australia, I would have sworn that you guys were from Europe.
Oh,
yeah, I'm like, surely they are from Finland, but no.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we love bands from Finland, so that's a great compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Australia has a lot of bands, but why do you think symphonic metal is not something that is not like Australia's like cup of tea, if you will?
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether it's just sort of the culture around music here. The big genres at the moment are sort of punk and more leaning towards I guess indie rock and that kind of thing. And there's a lot of popularity around that. There's also quite a bit of popularity around metalcore and genres like that. But yeah, for some reason, that sort of symphonic metal Gothic. yeah, exactly. But yeah, for some reason that the symphonic metal goth rock thing hasn't taken off just yet. But maybe that'll change in the future.
I tell what you mean, but I've talked to a few bands from Australia now, and there's different genres. So you're like, I like to speak with bands from Australia because I think it's there's so many cool bands from Australia, which is cool. So the new album, I'm gonna show the artwork and talk a little bit about it. Here's the artwork for Tragédie D'amour. So that's tragedy of love, right? And
yes, tragedy, love and tragedy.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
When I also saw, before I listened to the music and I saw this, I thought My Chemical Romance. I don't know why I thought,
Oh, right.
yeah, like that could have been like I thought of that the Elena song. And goth rock and emo sometimes are like they're like lost brothers. They have some similarities to them. So tell me a little bit about this artwork.
Yeah, so well, it's funny. The idea for the artwork actually came to me in a dream. I think having produced the album and spent so much time on it, I think it was always running, in my subconscious. And one day I just had this dream where I saw two people standing in a broken cathedral with lots of roses and candles around. And I kind of just woke up and went, oh, okay, that has to be the artwork. That's got to mean something. Goths, we're always trying to romanticize things. And so I think putting something in into the album that that came from a dream. I think was a cool little bit of mystery, a bit of romance, and yeah. And so I drew up a brief based on that. Talked about it with the rest of the guys, and they all liked the idea. And then we at a suggestion, I think it was Jerry or Mish might have suggested that we look for an artist on Fiverr. The guy that we usually hire to do our graphic art was unavailable for this album, unfortunately, and so we ended up looking for people on Fiverr, and we found a guy who was very patient and was happy to do a lot of revisions for us. And it took probably about 2 months to get it to a place that we were quite happy with. And yeah, it was a bit of a process, but I think we got something in the end that we're really happy with and that we feel encapsulates the energy of the album.
Oh yeah, it's a cool album artwork. Like I thought of like My Chemical Romance and stuff like that, and the gothiness to it. So
yeah,
yeah, it's here in Puerto Rico we have goths too, but it's funny because sometimes they hang out at the mall.
Yep.
It's funny because you watch them all in black, all depressed, and then they're sleeping,
Yep.
they're drinking like this fruity drink. I'm like, no, you're supposed to be
Yes.
drink a black drink.
Absolutely. We've got more goths here as well. So yeah, I think Mish and I back in our youth, Mishka's the keyboard player. So back in our youth, we used to hang out in malls as well. So
Goths in malls. I think there's a YouTube or something where they like goths like in like doing like regular. Yeah, I see a video of these two goth dudes in the States, and they're like dressed all goth, and they're like in a theme park, but they're eating like ice cream, and it's kind of fun.
yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's a little bit quirky. It's
Oh yeah. So growing up for you, Jordan, like what bands influence you?
So yeah, I've always enjoyed quite an eclectic mix of music, mainly metal and rock. Those were sort of my bread and butter. I kind of grew up listening to my parents' Meatloaf, Queen, and Motley Crue records. So that kind of really got me started
in the way that you sing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, that was kind of my introduction to it, and then through my teenage years, I got quite a bit into death metal and prog metal, and symphonic metal as well. So the big draw for me into symphonic metal was Camelot. Absolutely adore Camelot and listen to them to death. Still follow them. Love both the Roy Khan and Tommy Karavik era, and yeah, so they really pulled me into this genre of music. And then within the kind of Gothic realm, looking more towards bands like Typo Negative and Him were a big influence for me, and Him and particularly Typo Negative as well were a big influence for Mishka, our keyboard player. And so that's what sort of brought me into, I guess, the Gothic symphonic world. So yeah, quite a few. And then
it's like the poster boy of goth rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
so,
did you listen to his? He had an album, I think, was it last year? He had a solo album, which was pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really enjoyed the album.
It sounded like him.
It did. It totally did. And he actually came to Australia a couple of months ago, and he was touring that album, and he was playing a lot of stuff from that album, and of course, like the Him catalog. Unfortunately, I was unable to make the concert, but yeah, Mishka actually went and said he had a blast. So yeah, really cool.
Awesome. So this new album, let's talk a little bit about the new album that you have coming out, Tragédie D'amour. So yeah, it's 10 tracks. And right now, I know you haven't put out a single yet. Which will be the single that you will be promoting for this?
So the first single that we will be releasing is 1,000 Winter Rains. And we're actually announcing that as the first single next Friday, I believe. And it'll be coming out very quickly. So the goal with this album was to have quite a short runway from announcing it to releasing it. So we're doing 2 singles. And I think there's, we actually announced the release date for the album today. and then the first single comes out 2 weeks after today, second single comes out 2 weeks after that, and then the album comes out 2 weeks after that. So all up, it's a 6-week runway between the announcement and the release of the album.
I think that's smart because sometimes there's bands that, like, for example, like Bring Me the Horizon, their new album, they had singles out like for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell is taking so long? You already, like, there's a track that's like it's almost 2 years old. So it's hard to just like have it and release it quickly. But it's smarter, like, than like, you know, when bands do the opposite, like when they release an album without like a surprise. Sometimes that can come and bite you in the ass. Like I remember like, a few years ago, Avenged Sevenfold did that. And no, you at least need to give like a 2-week notice or something that the album is coming out. But the album is coming out in August. August 23rd is the going to, and A Thousand Winter Rains is the second track. But you have some great more acoustic tracks, like I think if I remember them right, like The Hoping Heart, Burning Ships, and where you have the female, is it a female guest vocalist or is she's in the band too, right?
Yeah. So that's Emma. So Emma is our bass player, and she is a fantastic singer. So she actually has her own solo project called M, and it's spelled EM full stop. And she actually just released an EP not too long ago, but she's such a wonderful vocalist, and we really felt that we wanted to showcase her a bit on this album. And so she sings on a few of the tracks, and then in Burning Ships, she sings lead vocals throughout the whole way.
Yeah, I remember there's a song, and I think it gives the album dynamics. Not to say that your vocals are great, man, but it's good to have duality because not every band can do that. So on this album, tell me a little bit about the themes that you cover on this record.
Yeah, so the well, I guess as the title suggests, the themes very much revolve around love and loss. So a lot of themes around love, hope, but also tragedy and grief. And I sort of had this idea for taking the album this direction probably like a month or two after we released the first album. It just sort of it was an area that I really wanted to explore lyrically and musically, and I've had, since then I've had quite a lot of things that lean into that. So I've had, deaths of a couple of family members. I got married, and my wife and I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. And so there's been
Congrats.
A lot of, thanks, man, thanks. And so there's been a lot of love in the last 3 years, and there's been quite a bit of tragedy as well. And so I think, wanting to explore that deeper, I guess when I sort of first developed the concept for it, I didn't really think about how, I would pay attention to those elements in my life in the coming years. But it ended up playing quite a big role in the last couple of years. So I'm sort of glad that I was able to explore that lyrically, because it was certainly quite therapeutic, particularly when putting the final flourishes on the lyrics towards the end of the process.
That makes sense. And now I know why you're a night owl. You're a father.
Yes. Yes,
you're not
absolutely.
allowed to sleep.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So when you got married, did your wife tell you, like, Jordan, you gotta write me a song? you write about love. So did she make you write a song? Did you feel that pressure?
Not necessarily. I mean, so Immortal, which I think is track 7 on the album, that's sort of a bit of a love letter to her. But funnily enough, I had actually written a song about her. This might have been 6 or 7 years ago. So we actually broke up for a time, and I wrote a song that I called Whispers of Forgiveness. And it was sort of about wanting to, develop yourself further so you could explore a relationship with someone in the future. And it was about my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and we broke up. And then, as it turned out, we ended up working on ourselves and got back together and got married. So that was a, really nice sort of change of events. But when we were kind of developing the track list for this album, I pulled out this old demo, and I listened to it. So it's track, is it track 5 on the album, I think? And it's sort of the really soft ballad. And I remember listening to the demo and thinking, oh, like I'm hearing it with fresh ears. I've got a couple of new ideas for it. I might
You mean Whispers of
redo it.
Forgiveness?
Yes, Whispers of Forgiveness. Yes. So I basically just rebuilt the song using the melodies and chords, and then pitched it to the rest of the band, and they all thought it was, you know, a great option for one of the ballads on the record. And so it ended up, so a song I wrote, about 7 years ago, in the midst of breaking up with the woman who's now my wife, ended up making it onto the record. So a cool little story there.
That's a nice story. Sometimes some people need a few time apart to realize that they truly love each other and come back
Absolutely.
together. And sometimes you need to break apart and stay apart.
That is true, and there are some songs that deal with that as well on the album.
Yeah, but Immortal, it's beautiful because that's about like our love is immortal, it would never die, you know, like I heard a lot of him on that song.
Well, that's and that was something that we were really going for. So Mish, the keyboard player, who's, you know, he and I sort of these big hymn fans, and we really wanted, you know, a song or two on this album that leaned into that influence. And so he sent me this instrumental demo back when we were sort of putting the album together, and I loved it. And I was hearing a bunch of additional sort of instrumentation, and the melodies came to me really quickly. And so, you know, I'm sort of working on the, you know, rearranging and additional instrumentation and working on the lyrics and stuff. And I'm talking to him as we're going through this process, and it's like, this does sound like him. This is our song that gets to showcase that influence. And so that was really exciting. And I think, you know, with certain songs, when you're kind of leaning into this influence, you do have to sort of lean into the cheesiness a bit. And I think that's where the lyrics come in, because the lyrics are quite cheesy.
Some cheese on it.
And there's nothing wrong with cheese. Like, you know, we sort of love, I guess, hamming that element up. And we're in a Gothic band, you know, sometimes you just need to go that extra mile. And so, so that I think came out really well, and we're really happy with that track. But that was a lot of fun to write. But that song really is, I guess, Mish and my love letter to him as well.
So hopefully because I have 2 kids, they won't grow up and say you're cringe. Because my kids say I'm cringe all the time.
I'm sure that in the teenage years, I'm sure that'll come about.
I can put any song and they're like, that sucks, Dad. Everything that is awful. So I'm guessing like a dream tour for you would be, obviously him is not around no more, but could you imagine like opening for Bill Ballo on a tour? That would be sweet.
So, well, that was the thing. We were actually in talks with the promoter to support Bill Ballo. Yes, but and so we were talking. So, and well, this was back when he toured in Australia a couple of months ago. But unfortunately, it didn't end up going ahead. And I think, you know, the support band were a really cool, sort of like a synthwave band, like a synthwave 2-piece, I think. I think they might have been called Dark Water. I can't remember, but but they ended up doing really well on the tour. So good on them. But we were quite close to getting that. We were quite close to getting that support. But
maybe next tour you will be.
Maybe next one.
Yeah, and maybe like he'll tell you like, hey, come up and sing Wings of a Butterfly with me or something.
Oh, that would be the dream.
I would be awesome to sing with him right here in my arms.
Absolutely.
Like old school, him. And you know what? When I think of him, it's funny because almost all the album covers was Bill. Like I know not to shit on the other band members, but the other band members can walk in my face and I will know who the fuck they are. But I will know who Bill Ballo is.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, he really was the sort of primary songwriter of him. You know, you listen to that album that he did last year, and it sounds like him, you know.
It was in my top 25 albums of the year.
And rightly so. It's a fantastic album.
Yeah, I actually saw him. They played in Puerto Rico in 2014. just before they broke up.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah, and it was super cool concert. I'm glad I got to see them live. So yeah, amazing stuff. So yeah, this album, you know, you have the love and the tragedy. So it's like a beauty meets ugliness of life, and that's how you mesh it up well. And I think it's a good way to have a contrast, because if it was all beauty or all dark,
Yeah.
relatable. I think it has, because some of the songs are more sad, but then you have the uplifting tracks that you just mentioned, which I'm guessing that's what you were going for.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the production on this album, yeah, everything sounds very crisp. So yeah, good job on that, because you
Thank you.
produced that. So now that you produce your own album, like, would you produce for other bands in the future?
I have thought about it. I think, this album nearly killed me producing it, but I ended up working with a mixing engineer called Voya, who's one of my best mates, and we're in another band together. And he's a brilliant producer, and I've learned a lot from him. And so having him mix the album certainly helped with that. But in terms of producing other bands, I think it's definitely something that I'd be open to. But I haven't put too much thought into it just yet. It has crossed my mind, but I'm still kind of, I don't know, I'm still kind of working that out.
Because with great power comes great responsibility. But I would like to be
Exactly.
a producer, because I would like to be there and just being there, and they finish something and they look at me and I'm like, that sucked. Delete.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be fun, but I don't know anything about engineering. But hey,
Yep.
Rick Rubin does. I've talked about Rick Rubin here. Like, he's produced some albums, and he does. Have you seen where he's like, no, I know nothing about engineering, but yet,
Yeah.
like, it's like he's just a music fan giving his opinion. I'm like, I could do that shit.
Absolutely. I have seen a couple of those. Like I've seen a lot of brilliant quotes from him. Funnily enough, Voya, the guy who mixed the album, he and I often share Rick Rubin quotes with each other. So yeah, very, very interesting. I didn't know that he had no sort of or quite limited knowledge on engineering, and it's more that he's a music fan. Like, that's a really cool piece of
Yeah, he's
information.
more of like a music, and like, he knows what people want, but
Yeah.
hey, yeah, he said it like, I don't know, I'm not a technical person. I'm like, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
I have no idea about that. So once the album is out in August, are there some shows planned? What's next for Carmeria?
Yeah, so there are a couple of other bands in Australia. One band in Brisbane and one band in Melbourne. Who we're all sort of friends, and we're all releasing albums at the same time. And we're currently in the process of booking like a triple album tour that'll likely go
Are they
across.
like goth bands as well?
No, so one's sort of more of a kind of deathy proggy outfit, and one's like a Viking band. So
That's an interesting.
yeah, so that
The
yeah,
Viking
so
Goth Prog Tour.
yeah. So it'll be pretty cool, but that's kind of I think in the final stages of being organised at the moment, and an announcement will probably come shortly. But that'll predominantly just be the east coast of Australia. So because it does cost quite a bit of money to go to South Australia and Western Australia, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I've talked to Australia. I talked to a band in Perth called All These Fields, and he told me that if they want to tour the other side, they got to get on a plane.
Yeah. It's nothing's close. Like, it's all, you're looking at we did for the first album, we drove for that tour, and it's like you've got 12 hours driving, give or take, between Sydney and Brisbane, and then between Sydney and Melbourne you've got another 12 hours, and then Melbourne to Adelaide's like 8 hours, 9 hours. So it's a lot. And I think
if the band breaks, the band like has a malfunction, there's like so many animals that can eat you in Australia.
yeah, there is. Yeah. Exactly. So you've always got to be careful on the road.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I want to go to Australia, but I'm also afraid.
Oh no, you'll be fine. You'll be
I,
fine. It's all overblown. It's not as
I would
dangerous as
tell
everyone
you, I
says it
would
is.
not be caught dead at a beach in Australia.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like,
You
I'm
sure?
in
They're quite beautiful. They're quite beautiful.
yeah, but I'm in Puerto Rico. There's beaches. It's beautiful, man, but there's white sharks and jellyfish
Yeah,
and alligators and stuff that can kill me, man. Like, no,
yeah, yeah.
I'll take my chances in Puerto Rico. But yeah,
No, fair enough.
so you'll probably do that tour with
Mhm.
the band and did you already shoot a music video for the first single?
Yeah, so we literally last weekend we shot 2 clips for both singles over one weekend. So we shot it at a beautiful heritage property called Tanilba House in Tanilba Bay, and it's sort of up the coast, just north of Newcastle. For anyone who knows, anything about Australia or New South Wales, and that was such a great experience. It's been so long since we've been on set for a music video. I think the last one we filmed might have been, in 2021. And so to be able to, so Mish and I were, I guess, producer, director kind of types on that shoot, and being able to use that part of our brains again was really cool. So that was really exciting, and I think we worked with an amazing cinematographer called Jack Pallet from Pallet Design, and she is just brilliant. Like, if the raw footage is anything to go by, I think these video clips are going to turn out quite cool.
Nice, and hopefully you guys are wearing your golf paint and
Oh, we are all done up. We are all done up, totally gothed up. Yep.
yeah, awesome. So Jordan, it's been great chatting with you. I know it's super late for you. So before I let you go, like, tell me, like, what would you tell the Carmeria fans before we go?
I would tell them that I absolutely cannot wait to hear what they think of the new album. I think we get so many lovely messages from our fans about how our music has helped them, or how our music has helped them meet people that they've become lifelong friends with. We have quite a really good well, we call it the community. So it's people who've signed up to our subscriber service on Coffee, and they all
What do you
talk.
call your followers, like your fans? Do you have like a
So
name?
well, we call them the community. So
Oh, I call
yeah, yeah.
my couchers.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. No, that works out. But yeah, and so we love the fact that our music has brought people together, and we love the fact that our music has helped people. And considering the themes within this album, I hope the music will continue to help people, and they'll be able to find some solace in the fact that they're not alone in these experiences.
Yeah, no, it's if you like all the bands that we've been discussing, this is a great album. There's symphonic metal, but there's also that goth rockiness and with the ballads and the singing. So yeah, it's a cool album. Like, if you like the bands that we mentioned, like him, uh, Typo Negative, those type of bands, you will enjoy Carmeria's album out the 23rd of August. So I'll put some links for people, like I know the pre-order is not yet, like you'll have the pre-order soon, right?
Yeah, we'll sort of be looking to set up pre-saving and stuff. We did actually do a pre-order campaign as part of a crowdfunding initiative that we ran to help raise funds for the album. So I'll need to talk to the band, but I don't think we're actually going to do a pre-order campaign because it's kind of already happened. But
Yeah, crowdfunding, which is always good, like to have
yeah, yeah.
crowdfunding and actually have people fund, because I don't know about you, Jordan, but it would be such a bummer if you did a crowdfund and nobody funded. Then you'd be like, nobody wants this. Like,
well, that's it, and it costs so much money to put together an album and put it out there, and so the fact that we were able to, I think we reached about 85% of our goal, which was fantastic and really helped us get this album out in a timely fashion. So I think if we didn't have this support, the album probably would have been delayed 6 to 12 months. But the fact that the fans rallied behind us and made some generous contributions. That's really allowed us to get this out quickly. So we're really grateful for that.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you, fans, for doing that. So Jordan, I want to thank you again for joining me virtually on the couch from Sydney to Puerto Rico to talk about the new album. So the new album out August 23rd. So couchers, be on the lookout for that. So until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.